Hello, welcome back. This is rewriting the Oscars. This is a thing I do after Oscar season. Last week I did 10 years ago, uh, the week after the Oscars. We looked at the Oscars from 10 years ago and I rewrote them and gave new nominees. And then this year I'm doing, I'm now doing 20. So these are the films from 2003. This is what went on to, uh, what I think should have gone on to actually get nominations based on things that I've seen. I think longevity is a thing. I think if you look at a lot of the awards seasons, you'll look at like films and performances and be like, I don't even remember that film. I don't remember that performance. I don't remember anything about that. Why did we nominate that? Um, and there are always films that we discover later on that didn't get nominated, and they had fans at the time. They still have fans today, and those films survive. And this is just one man's opinion. I kind of would love to do this with like a group of people, but maybe later on down the line I will. But yeah, this is my thoughts. So I will say that um, I'm skipping for this category. I'm skipping international feature, documentary, and animated because I don't have enough films to warrant creating a group of nominees, if that makes any sense. I'm also using categories and rules of the current Oscar season. So there's only one sound category, and I'm doing 10 best pictures. So there you go. Like I did see, I did have films on the list that were international, documentary, and animated, but I would have either been nominating all of the films that I just saw, which is not, you don't always just want to nominate films that you saw. Like I saw The Eye, for example, for international. I don't know if that's worth an international feature nomination, just to flesh out the category. So that's part of the thing, is you have to actually see enough to get there. So anyway, we'll start with best visual effects. And yes, I could see in 2003 for the 76th Academy Awards. So this is a valid category. Don't worry, I'm not guessing here. I know the special effects to all these films. Best visual effects: Hulk, X2, Return of the King, The Matrix Reloaded, and Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl. And the winner is, of course, Return of the King. So, duh. I felt even a little weird about nominating Hulk, but I was like, he wasn't that bad looking, was he? I don't know. I didn't like Hulk as a film, but I thought they put enough money into it visually that I really like kind of what they did with the comic book thing. They tried to make it look like a comic. It was such a fail. Ang Lee was such a weird choice for the Hulk, but yeah. The rest of the films are easily ingrained in my brain. X2 and Pirates, the stuff with the underwater fights with the skeletons, the stuff when the light hits them and then moves away from their body, all that looked really great. So there were some other contenders here. Matrix Reloaded, they really used the fact that they got an increased budget for the sequel as much as they could. That car chase sequence was fantastic. So there's some stuff here, but how do you beat Lord of the Rings? You can't. Moving on. Best sound: 28 Days Later, Master and Commander, The Matrix Reloaded, Return of the King, and Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl. And the winner for best sound is Return of the King. Because, again, this is such a technical achievement. It's weird to rewrite the year of best sound, of Return of the King, and then Like, what am I really hoping to achieve here, you know? Best original song. I couldn't really think of necessarily a lot of the songs from the year, but the one song that did stand out to me was from A Mighty Wind. So I'm giving Best Original Song to A Mighty Wind. Obviously, there were other original songs. So I just didn't want to. I was looking through the films and I was like, I don't know if any of these really pop. The thing that I think that still pops the most might be from A Mighty Wind. So Mighty Wind from Mighty Wind, or whatever that song was called in A Mighty Wind, is the song that I remember having the most impact. Like Finding Nemo, I just don't remember a song from Finding Nemo. Like it's just not the musical that, not the song with the music. So moving up to best original score, we've got Kill Bill Volume 1, Elf, Return of the King, Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, and Finding Nemo. And the winner here is not Return of the King. It's actually Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah. This is one that I think should be Pirates. I do. I think Pirates has an excellent score, and I think it has the score too that when you hear it now it's iconic. You hear that Pirates score, the theme, and you're just like, wow, I know exactly what movie that is. It's not like with Lord of the Rings where um by the third film the whole score is good, right? For all three films, but there isn't necessarily a difference between the first or third film. It's just all great score. So it's still got a great score, but this was Pirates coming in at the first film. This is me like acknowledging the first Harry Potter film for score, something like that, because somebody had to write that theme that is so iconic that everybody knows. If this had been a Pirates sequel versus a Lord of the Rings sequel, I probably would have given it to Lord of the Rings. But since it was the first Pirates, you know, I think Pirates deserves the score win. Going back and looking at it, I think what they created for the first film is worth recognition. So, best makeup. Kill Bill Volume 1. 28 Days Later. X2. Return of the King. And Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. Winner is Return of the King. There's obviously a lot of makeup here, a lot of stuff that has to go into creation. This one's tough though. I would love to give it to X2. Obviously, the stuff that they do with Mystique is really elaborate. Really elaborate. And I'd love for that team to walk away with an Oscar. It's really hard to look at the scope of Return of the King and think to yourself, yeah, that doesn't deserve something. Um, so, yeah, I went with Best Costume Design. Elf, Big Fish, X2, Return of the King, and Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. And the winner here is Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. Um, yeah, again, um, it's the first film, and you're setting sort of the theme and the mood. Um, it's not that sequels are bad, and like the third film doesn't deserve. I know we gave Return of the King a ton of Oscars, but looking back on it, Pirates kind of created an iconic moment, and creatively visioned and everything. It deserved recognition out of the gate for certain things. Yes, I put Elf there because I think Buddy the Elf's iconic costume just stands out so much. Um, and I realize it's just kind of like standard Christmas fare, but they made it into sort of a thing where you know exactly what Buddy looks like without even having to think. And there's something to that. Plus the rest of the costumes that they did for the rest of the film. Um, so may seem like a weird choice, but best editing, Kill Bill Volume 1, Elf, Something's Gotta Give, The Return of the King, and Pirates of the Caribbean Curse of the Black Pearl. And the winner is Kill Bill Volume 1. I think it has the most. So it's usually what people say to vote for is the thing that has the most. It just has the coolest editing to it of all the films. Yeah, it just, I know Return of the King might be more impressive, but Kill Bill Volume 1, I just think has really cool editing uses to it. The way that it cuts to certain things and the shots and the looks and the, yeah, it's just very stylized. And I think it's a cool win for Kill Bill. It's the one that stands out to me anyway. Best production design, Down with Love, Return of the King, Elf, Underworld, and Pirates of the Caribbean Curse of the Black Pearl. And the winner here is Pirates of the Caribbean Curse of the Black Pearl. Same thing I said earlier, it is the first film. So I did take that into consideration. Best cinematography, Master and Commander, Kill Bill Volume 1, 28 Days Later, Cold Mountain, and Return of the King. And the winner is Kill Bill Volume 1. I love the way that film looks. I love the way that film is shot. Yes, I could give Return of the King this. Again, this is one of those things where it's like you could, I'm a love spreader. So I just like to spread the love between all of the great films. So best adapted screenplay, Elf, Brian Helgeland for Mystic River. Actually remembered who wrote that. Cold Mountain, Return of the King, and Pirates of the Caribbean Curse of the Black Pearl. The winner here is gonna surprise some people. The winner is Elf. It's my party and I'll cry if I want to. I love Elf. I adore Elf. And taking this and putting it onto the big screen and turning it into what it was, and the fact that it has, I mean, it really has endured into a true holiday classic in many ways. And I would definitely go back, and I have Elf in a couple categories. I think it deserves to be here. I think this is one of those cases where you look at a film and you're like, man, this really transcended. I'm sure there were like other Oscar films that were released this year that I'm cutting out of the competition, but I don't think anybody watches those films anymore. So moving on. Best original screenplay, Sofia Coppola, Lost in Translation, Richard Curtis for Love Actually, Something's Gotta Give, which I'm surprised I didn't put the writer for that, but I think I know who the writer is. I just won't say it because I don't want to be wrong. Quentin Tarantino for Kill Bill, and Finding Nemo. And the winner of Best Original Screenplay is Lost in Translation. I love the screenplay to this. I do. I think, especially considering like Sofia Coppola just came in hot with her debut here. Well, not really her debut, but her debut for the world, I guess. Her critical debut, the one that mattered. And yeah, it's a great script. So moving on, Now that I'm getting into the acting categories, I will point out the only film that I had any sort of trepidation in the fact that I'm making this list, but I haven't seen this film, was Monster. I never saw Monster. I made the list. I looked at the films. I saw all the films that were listed. The only film, if it's not on here, I probably didn't like it. Um, the only film that I didn't see was Monster with Charlize Theron. So that's in case you're thinking why wasn't that nominated in makeup. That's why I didn't see Monster. So the nominees for Best Supporting Actress are Marcia Gay Harden for Mystic River, Emma Thompson for Love Actually. I love her performance in this. Shohei Agadashlu for The House of Sand and Fog, Patricia Clarkson for Pieces of April, and Renee Zellweger for Cold Mountain. And the winner here is not what you would expect. I gave it to Emma Thompson for Love Actually. This is a performance that's stuck with me ever since I saw it. It's a performance that actually gets me every single time. The scene where she finds the box and she thinks it's for her, and then she realizes it's not for her. It's so contained and it's quiet, and Emma Thompson does such a beautiful job with it. She's such a great actress, a classic actress, but this one performance from this ensemble film has stuck with me for 20 years. So, I think she's a brilliant actress. She's one of my favorite actresses, and I think this is where I would give her. It's truly a supporting performance. She's not the lead of Love Actually. I don't think anybody's the lead of Love Actually. But versus Renee Zellweger, who actually did win for Cold Mountain for her country performance. I think Renee, it's a good win, but she has other roles that she can win for also. So does Emma, to be fair. The only person who this might be their only trip into the category would be Shora Dashlu. I can't think of a single performance that's gotten her close since. But anyway, moving up. Best Supporting Actor. Ben Kingsley for House of Sand and Fog. Tim Robbins for Mystic River. Peter Sarsgaard for Shattered Glass. Andy Serkis for Return of the King. And Sean Astin for Return of the King. And I actually had the opportunity to do this last year for a set of films, and I do believe last year I picked my supporting actor was interesting because this is not the first time I've nominated Andy Serkis for Return of the King for his work in Lord of the Rings. I'm very pro Andy Serkis being recognized for the work in which he has done motion capture. But for a lot of the reasons I just stated, that maybe Shohei should have won supporting actress because she'll never get that close to an Oscar again. My winner for Best Supporting Actor is Sean Astin for Return of the King. The work that he does as Samwise throughout the course of the series is the best work of his career. He's never done anything that's come remotely close since. And I wonder what giving him A, an Oscar nomination, and B, an Oscar would have done to change his career and to keep him sort of in the spotlight. He could have benefited the most from this. Ben Kingsley, obviously, he's got other great performances. He's fantastic in House of Sand and Fog, but he's got other performances. Tim Robbins has, tons of other performances. Shawshank Redemption, just to name one. Peter Sarsgaard, this is obviously sort of like the start of his career, so he would grow into an Oscar win. Andy Serkis, maybe it's too controversial to give the motion capture performance the win, but I do definitely think he should be recognized. So, yeah, Sean Astin. How about that? So, for those who may think I wasn't giving enough awards to Return of the King. Best Actress. Scarlett Johansson for Lost in Translation. Diane Keaton for Something's Gotta Give. Uma Thurman for Kill Bill Volume 1. Diane Lane for Under the Tuscan Sun, and Julia Roberts for Mona Lisa Smile. If I'm being honest, I would say probably either Julia or Diane wouldn't be here if I'd seen Monster, but I feel uncomfortable nominating somebody that I haven't seen just because they went on to win the Oscar. But I have to acknowledge the fact that Charlize did win this category, and I just haven't seen her performance. I just never got around to Monster. It's funny because I got to see almost everything that came out this year because I was working in movie theaters. I don't know why I haven't seen Monster. I don't know why 20 years later I still haven't seen Monster. And I still don't want to. I just don't know. There's nothing about it that motivates me. I just don't. I can't draw. And now I want to see it with audio description, which is even harder because it's a 20-year-old film. The older a film gets, the less chance it has for audio description. So, yeah, I may never see this, and which may mean that my winner may always be a little weird. But I think people will like my winner because my winner is Uma Thurman for Kill Bill Volume 1. Yes. This is where Uma deserved her Oscar. I actually like Volume 1 more than Volume 2, so I would rather recognize her up front for Part 1. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, we should recognize it for the finale. I actually liked her in Part 1. I actually liked Volume 1 more than 2. Not like dramatically more, but a little bit more, you know, enough that if I had to choose which volume she won for, I would choose Volume 1. So, anyway, that's just me. But yeah, she created an iconic character. I think it's the performance of her lifetime of her career. I think she's better in this than she was in Pulp Fiction. That's a hot take. Quentin gives her a lot to do in this franchise, and yeah, the bride is an iconic character. So if I haven't seen Charlize Theron and I can't gauge that performance, I think the obvious pick here is Uma Thurman, who by this point would have been in a bunch of films, so deserves an Oscar win. For Best Actor, the nominees are Bill Murray for Lost in Translation, Will Ferrell for Elf, Jack Nicholson for Something's Gotta Give, Elijah Wood for Return of the King, and Johnny Depp for Pirates of the Caribbean. Yes, I've seen Mystic River, and no, I did not nominate Sean Penn. Yes, I know, he's screaming about his daughter. It's a very emotional performance. I will break down every reason why I gave. First of all, Pirates of the Caribbean, I kept Johnny Depp because he created this iconic character from his own just unique set of skills. And it's the first film. I would not nominate him for any of the sequels, but I have to nominate him for creating Jack Sparrow. It's such a character that has that is memorable. It's transcended time. Kids dress up like him. They've tried to mimic him. The franchise suffers without him. It's the one role that he can do that no one else can do, you know. And yeah, it was a good Oscar nomination then. It's a great Oscar nomination now. Even after everything, I would still give Johnny Depp that nomination. So, I do believe Elijah Wood should have had an Oscar nomination for Return of the King at some point, for Lord of the Rings at some point for playing Frodo. And I think when you look at his character in Return of the King, he's really going through the most. Like him and Sam on that final leg of the journey, they're giving it their all. So absolutely, Elijah Wood has never been nominated before. This is absolutely, if you're telling me like giving Elijah Wood his first nomination over Sean Penn his however many nomination, I would rather knock Sean Penn out of Mystic River once to give somebody like Elijah Wood a chance at actually hearing their name called at the Oscars. So yeah, I would nominate Elijah Wood here for what is obviously the best performance of his career. Arguably, he's doing some interesting stuff on Yellow Jackets, but come on, nothing to the level of what he did in Lord of the Rings. Let's be honest. Jack Nicholson for Something's Gotta Give. I just really love this film. I love this performance. I've seen Something's Gotta Give an unhealthy amount of times. So it's just sort of this is like favoritism. I'm just gonna openly admit favoritism. Jack Nicholson has 1,000 performances. I didn't pick him to win here, but I love his performance in this. He's yeah. So if it came down to Jack versus Sean as being the two sort of actors who have been in too many things, and which one, I picked Jack. I picked Jack for this film over Sean. Um, Will Ferrell for Elf. Again, he created an iconic character, and there was this huge debate over how Ryan Gosling deserves to be where he was this year because it's a comedic performance, and he's funny and he sells the film and he wins the film and everything. Blah 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 blah. And I heard people debating about why he should win, and all this kind of shit. And I'm like, you know what? We never actually give people nominations when they're funny, when they're actually comedians. It's like we take them for granted. Will Ferrell should be nominated for Elf. Like this is the performance. Like I won't say that about all of his performances. I'm not gonna say he should be here for like Step Brothers and Talladega Nights and everything, but Buddy the Elf was such a unique character for him, a character that only he could play, that turned into such an unexpected hit. Launched a musical. There's a animated cartoon version of him, and thank God they haven't made a sequel. So, for all of the reasons, this feels like the 2000s version of Groundhog Day. How we now look back at Bill Murray and we go, yeah, he should be nominated for Groundhog Day. I think Will Ferrell should be nominated for Elf, just like I think Jim Carrey should have been nominated for at least The Truman Show, if not also for Eternal Sunshine and Man on the Moon. So, that first recognition that they should have gotten, this should have been Will Ferrell's first nomination. Might only be his only nomination, but it should have been his first. I'll stand by that. And Bill Murray for Lost in Translation. Well, I don't think I have to fight that one. He was actually nominated. So, and my winner for Best Actor is Bill Murray for Lost in Translation, for what I believe is the best performance of his career. And for somebody who, that performance, I adore that performance. It's somebody who took a risk. They took a risk on casting him in this, against what he usually does. And I can't see anybody else in that role. So that's a great year for actors. I love those performances. So, Best Director. Sofia Coppola for Lost in Translation. Quentin Tarantino for Kill Bill Volume 1. Tim Burton for Big Fish. Which really, having to cut Albert Finney out of the supporting actor race really sucked. By the way, not having enough. I remember that. I was like, he was there for a long time, and I was like, I hated cutting him from that. He's so great in that. Peter Jackson for Return of the King, and Andrew Stanton for Finding Nemo, because directors of animated features deserve to be nominated too. Anyway, so the winner for Best Director is Peter Jackson for Return of the King, because of course it is. I'm not going to take it away from him on his finale. Don't worry, I left it there. I'm not changing it. I've changed some things, but I'm not going completely rogue. All right, so the top 10, the Best Picture, in no particular order. I should probably have alphabetized these, but these are just like in a random order. Kill Bill Volume 1. Something's Gotta Give. Mystic River. Lost in Translation. Elf. Big Fish. X2. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. And Finding Nemo. And the winner of Best Picture of 2003 and the 76th Academy Awards is still Return of the King. I'm not changing it. I think it's a great top 10. I love the fact that because I use current rules that I can expand to a top 10. I think maybe X2 would probably be the one where people would scratch their head, but I love that film, so that's probably the one that I think most, if this is the most head scratcher, like, you give X2, I would give X2 a Best Picture nomination. I know you probably would swap that for something else, and then it would probably, Elf would be the next one, where I'm sure there are people who are like, Elf doesn't deserve Best Picture. Okay, well, I don't think that many people would fight me on Finding Nemo, especially if we expand it to 10. It's largely regarded as a classic. So, yeah, some good films here. Anyway, um, that's it. I'm gonna do 30 years next week, so we'll see what's up with that and who wins and who gets to stay and all that kind of stuff. So until then, I'll see you guys on the other side.